everyone, for today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make this really cute little card featuring the new Celebration stamp set Petal Pusher. So I did a video yesterday using one of the limited edition Celebration stamp sets. It's the Sky is the Limit set. That set is now retired, so they took away 3 of the items and they brought 3 new items in. And this is one of these stamp sets. So there's 2 stamp sets and then 1 set of like washi glitter tape, which is awesome. So I'm going to be featuring all 3 items here in the next couple of weeks to give you guys an idea of the new items. But for today's video, we're going to be using this Petal Pusher set, and I love this one. It is super cute, and I love the sets where you can kind of build a scene. These are my favorite. So for this video, we're obviously going to be using the Petal Pusher stamp set, and we're going to be using quite a few different items. So to start off with, I want to run through everything that you're going to need for this video. So like I said, the Petal Pusher stamp set, you spend $50 on the website and you can get this for free. So that's pretty awesome. Then we're going to be using 7 different ink pads. So I'm going to run through these pretty quick. We're going to be using Smoky Slate. This is from the Neutrals collection. We're going to be using Wisteria Wonders, which is from the Subtles collection. Ooh. Melon Mambo, which is from the Brights. Soft Sky, which is from the Subtles. The Subtles collection is probably my favorite collection. I just like the color variety or the color range that they have through those. This is Blushing Bride, probably my favorite stamp set of all times, and I have a little doggy barking, and he is going to get crazy here in a second unless he calms down. Okay, I think we're good. Anyway, so this is Blushing Bride from the Subtles collection. This is So Saffron, which is also from the Subtles collection, and then we have just our regular basic black archival ink. So those are the 7 ink pads that we're using. I'm going to set this off to the side, just out of my way. I'm going to be using 2 blocks today. I'm going to be using block H and block C. So for those of you that have these blocks, or if you have blocks similar to this size, you don't have to use these 2, but these are the 2 that I'm going to be using. I also have some watercolor paper here. Now this is the Canson cold press. I think it's 140-pound watercolor paper. You can use Stampin' Up! Sells watercolor paper as well. I just have a whole stack of this, so I'm trying to get through this first before I reinvest in some other watercolor paper. But this is cut to 4 1/4 by 2.5 inches, and then this little piece is cut at 4 1/4 by 1/2 inch. So we're going to be using these. I'm going to set this off to the side or up a little bit. We also have a piece of this Designer Series paper, and this is from the Have a Cuppa DSP stack from the Occasions catalog. This is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. It's got this cute little tea bag print on the other side, but we're going to be using these purple hearts today because I thought they were super cute. We also have a piece, ooh, I got something on there. We have a piece of Thick Whisper White, which is cut at 8.5 by 5.5, and then I scored it at 4 1/4. With the Thick Whisper White, it's good to score it a little bit before you try and fold it, because if not, you can get some kind of bumpies in there. So always, that's a good tip, to always score the Thick Whisper White first. We're also going to be using the aqua painters. Now, I am not a professional watercolorer. I'm not really even that great at it, but I figured I'm trying to dabble into some new things, and I would try to go ahead and jump into it and just give it a shot. And I'm happy with the way that it turned out. So we're actually going to be watercoloring the image for today's card. So I'm going to be using both sizes. If you have a water brush at home, if you just have regular watercolor brushes, like I have some regular watercolor brushes, you can use these too. It doesn't have to be the aqua pens. I just like these because they're really easy to use. The water's already in here and you just kind of go. So I like these. They're super convenient, and I think it made it a little bit easier because I wasn't as intimidated with having to get water and clean water and have dirty water and brushes and all that. I just used these 2 and it was good to go. They're the ones from Stampin' Up! It comes in a pack of 2, and there's a larger tip and a smaller tip. We're going to be using both today. But again, if you only had one or the other, you could just use one. You don't have to use both of them. And then my bottle is real crazy, but we're going to be using Dazzling Details to give it just a little pop. I also had some sequins that I had from, I think, oh my goodness, excuse me. I think the sequins that I had were from a kit that I got from Wear Memory Keepers, but I can't find them right now. So we'll go ahead and make this card without the sequins and see how it turns out. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is take our 2 pieces of watercolor paper, and we're going to go ahead and stamp our basic black first. So I'm going to take my little stamp set out, and I'm going to, first we'll go ahead and stamp the greeting. I'm using the Happy Together greeting from this set. There's also Let Me Pedal for a While and I'm Here for You. So either one of those, or either of those are perfect to use. You can use whatever you want. And I'm just going to take this. I'm going to, again, be using my basic black. And I'm going to try and stamp this as close to the center as I possibly can and as straight as I possibly can. I'm not good at getting things centered and or straight. So that was pretty good though. I do have to say that was not bad. Okay, and I'm just going to clean that off. And stick this back in here because we're going to be using that block again. Okay, so I'm just going to set this off to the side. We won't need this for another little while. So that's going to go off to the side. Then I'm going to grab my bike and I'm going to put this on the H block. It fits just perfectly. So it's really nice. And we're going to go ahead and ink this up and we're going to grab our larger piece of watercolor paper. And when you're stamping this, you want to, so we're going to center it going left and right, but you want it to be a little further down on the page or on the piece of paper than centered. So we're going to go ahead and, like I said, I'm going to pretty much center it left to right, but then just bring it down slightly on the page. And if this isn't perfect, it's not a big deal. We're going to be watercoloring it and adding some, oh, I don't like the way that that's stamped. I don't think I inked it up enough. Luckily, every piece of paper has 2 sides. So let's just ink this up again and make sure I get everything nice and inked. And again, we're going to center it left and right. And just give it a little wiggle. Make sure I apply even pressure. And lift off. Much better. Okay, so I'm going to, oh man, my Stampin' Mist is running low. I'm going to have to refill him. Okay, so that's all we need the basic black for. Oh, no, it's not actually. What am I thinking? Duh, we have to add our little builder. So I'm going to take the little basket and just ink that up. And right here on the handlebar, we're going to just stamp him right there. Perfect. Clean that guy off. And then I'm going to grab my little hearts. Now you could use any of the builders. So there's some flowers. There's like a little bread with some wine or something like that. You could use any of those. I just happen to really like the little hearts. So that's what I went with. I'm going to move all of this over here out of the way and I'll clean up later. So now that is all we need the basic black for. Whoops. Okay, so now is where it gets into the really fun part and we're going to start watercoloring. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take Soft Sky, and if you've never watercolored with the Stampin' Up! Pads before, it's super easy. So you're just going to take your fingers and you're going to squish it right in the middle. What that does is it gets the ink onto the inside of the case. Then you're just going to leave it open just like that. And you're going to come in with your water brush, your paintbrush, whatever you want to use. And you're just going to pick up the ink from right here in the lid. It's super easy. So I'm going to start with Soft Sky. And my brush is pretty dry right now, and I want it to be pretty dry for this. And I'm just going to, well, maybe that's a little too dry. If you've never used the water brush before, You just squeeze it and that's what gets the water back in there. So we're just going to take the soft sky and really easy, just paint it all over. If your brush, I think I got my brush a little too wet. If you leave your brush a little bit more dry, you can pick up the ink in a different way. Let me see if I can show you guys. So I'm just taking a regular paper towel and using that to clean off my brush. So it's pretty dry now. Oops. You can also use the paper towel to clean off the inside of the pad, the lid where all the ink was. I don't mind it. You'll see all of these. I just leave the ink in there. But I just wanted to kind of show you guys while I was doing that. So now I'm picking this up and my brush is definitely more dry. So you can see that it gives more streakiness than an overall wash of color. Hopefully you guys can see that. Just like that. And then I'm going to take and squeeze just a little bit more water and I'm going to come down behind the bike. And behind the bike and on the sides of it, I want it to be a little bit more of a wash. So that's when you want some more water in there. There, I think that looks really, really good. And again, this is just messy and easy. There's no science behind it. So it's just letting your creativity flow. So that was the larger brush as well. I'm not going to be using this for anything else in this project. I just like the larger brush for a nice wash. We're also not going to be using Soft Sky for anything else. So I'm going to set that off to the side. The next one that I'm going to use is Smoky Slate. So you can see that I had some ink in here already. So I'm just going to, once the ink's dry, you can just go in with your water brush and pick up that ink over again. So now what I'm going to do is give the bottom of the bike a little bit of a shadow. So that just kind of grounds it a little bit more. Instead of it looking like a bike that's just kind of like floating in the air, we're just going to give it a little shadow to kind of ground it. So all I'm doing is taking Smoky Slate and I just picked it up with, I used a lot of water for this because I want it to be a nice shadow. I don't want it to be, I don't want the really intense lines like we have up here. I want it to be a nice little wash so that it just grounds the bike. Just like that. So that's super simple and easy. I'm just going to wipe my brush off and then I'm going to kind of, I think I'm going to pick up a little bit more Soft Sky and I want to blend in this area right here. Just so it doesn't look as crazy and harsh. We at least have a little bit, excuse me, we have a little area right there. So that's it. I'm super happy with that. Okay, I'm trying to hurry because for whatever reason, it just got really cloudy outside and it got dark in here. So hopefully this video isn't too dark. I'm hoping not. Oh, but I'm gonna try and hurry. Okay, so for the Smoky Slate, we are going to use this as well to do to color in a little bit of the bike. So my brush is pretty dry, and for this step you want the brush to be fairly dry. And I know this is going to be dark and there's going to be a weird shadow right here, but I'm just going to color in with a Smoky Slate. So I'm using the smaller aqua brush in the pack that you can get from Stampin' Up. And I'm using Smoky Slate to color in the bike seats and the little handlebars. Just like that. And if you find that it's too light when you go over it the first time, just pick up some more color. I'd give it a couple seconds to dry, but then you can pick up some more color and go right back in and darken it up. Just like that. And then we're going to take our little petals and I'm going to fill those in as well. So that is done. That's all we need the Smoky Slate for. Bam! 2 colors done. Now I think we'll go in with Wisteria Wonder. And we're going to do the frame of the bike in Wisteria Wonder. So again, because I'm more trying to fill in a color rather than get a nice wash, I want to have, I don't want too much water on my brush. So I want enough water so that it glides really nicely. And so I can get a nice pretty watercolor look, but I don't want it to be so dry that it doesn't pick up the ink very well. So I'm just filling in all of the bike frame with Wisteria Wonder, and I'm so sorry guys, I tried to film this as early as I could so that we had the light, but it's not working out. So I'm going to try and get this done as fast as possible. And it's really easy, honestly. It's not hard. You just have your ink sitting right there, and whenever you need a little bit more, you just grab a little bit more. And there's, you know, like this spot right here, I feel like I could probably use some more color. So I'm going to go, actually, you know what? Let me see. I'm going to turn this light on over here. And hopefully that helps. I think that should help. But we might just get a weird glare somewhere over here. So I'll try and put my paper towel there so that it doesn't. But that should help. Okay. Phew, now you can see better. Don't ask me why I didn't think of that, because I don't really know. Okay, so I filled in all of the bike frame, and then I'm going to fill in the little fenders, or whatever you want to call them, with the Wisteria Wonder as well. Perfect. There you go. Now the last thing that I'm going to use Wisteria Wonder for, so you can see I have quite a bit of ink on my brush. I just want to kind of tap this off, and the little spokes here, I just want a really light wash of Wisteria Wonder, just like that. And I'm just going to grab whatever I have handy and get the ink off of there. So that's all we need the Wisteria Wonder for. Bam, 3 ink pads down. Next we're going to use So Saffron, and for So Saffron, I want this to be a little lighter of a wash, so I'm going to make sure I have lots of water in my brush and on my little palette, and I'm just going to lightly fill in the little basket. So on my sample, I did have it fairly dark. I mean, it's not a super dark color, but I'm just going to take a little bit more and just go in with some more pigment to get that in there, just like that. And that part's super easy. So, bam, another color down. Close that one up. Next, I'm going to be using Melon Mambo. And you can see that I use Melon Mambo to watercolor a lot. So for this one, I'm going to take, and I want a lot of water on my brush. So you can see I'm just squeezing it, and you can see this little reservoir here start to fill up with water. That's where the water comes from when it goes to the tip of the brush. So I want lots of water for this because the hearts, I want it to be a very watercolor wash-esque look. So I want lots of water, and what I'm going to do is basically just kind of follow where the hearts are, and I'm just going to be really super messy with it and just kind of wipe around where the flowers are. I'm not filling in the flowers, I'm just wiping around where they are. So we're going to leave out, oh, excuse me, I'm telling you guys, something is going on with my throat. I really hope I'm not getting sick. And I'm actually going to grab a baby wipe. For the darker colors, I like using a baby wipe instead of my paper towel because it gets out the color but a little bit easier. Oh, and I'm making splatter marks all over. Okay, so now I'm going to take my Blushing Bride. I'm going to get a little bit more ink on that lid. I'm going to take my Blushing Bride, and I don't want as much water because the Blushing Bride is a very pale color, so we don't want tons of water in there because it's going to dilute that color. And I'm just basically going to do the same thing that I did with the Melon Mambo, and I'm just going to kind of flick around some color. Okay, So that one's done and easy. So Blushing Bride we're done with. That was just to give it a little bit more depth and dimension. And you don't really have to use the Blushing Bride. I like to use it just because it gives it a little bit more. Then I'm going to go back into my Melon Mambo, and I'm not going to be using as much water because now I want to darken up some of these flowers and some of these areas. So I'm just going to pick some random flower, or some, why do I keep calling them flowers? They're definitely not flowers, they're hearts. Oh boy. But I'm going to pick some of the hearts, and I'm just going to fill them in. And you can see that I'm being very messy with it. I'm not really particularly and precisely filling them in. I'm just kind of going all over the place, just like that. And I'm going to wipe off my brush. Another good tip, or another tip, I don't know if it's a good tip, when you're cleaning off your aqua painter, squeeze some of the water down in there, because that's gonna give you some water to really get the ink out of there. Okay, so we are pretty much done with this card. Now we really just have to put it together, honestly. So I'm going to take my Tombow Mono permanent adhesive, and because this is watercolor paper, it has a tendency to warp, or it can warp, because we did put so much water on the paper. So we're just going to stick this down. Now when I do this, I'll bring the sample over here so you guys can see. So this piece, our watercolor piece, is up close to the top left corner, and our sentiment is done at the bottom right corner. And it just gives it a little bit of variety. It moves the eye around, really, is what it does. Then I'm going to take our little sentiment piece and stick this guy down. Oops. Got some adhesive on my desk. Whoa. Okay. So then I'm just going to center this guy up, like I said, in line with the bottom right corner. Move this out of my way. I'm then going to take my piece of Whisper White that I already scored so that it gives us a nice, pretty crease. And I'm going to take some dimensionals. Am I going to have enough on this one sheet? I think I will. And I'm only using 5 because I have a couple layers. I have that watercolor paper, which is really thick, and it gives the card a lot of stability. Whew. Okay, so we are almost done. Just like that. And then the last thing that I'm going to do, if I can find it, is I'm going to take my Dazzling Details, and I'm just going to put a couple of dots of the Dazzling Details around the hearts, just to give it a little bit more interest. Move the eye around again a little bit. And add a little bit of sparkle. We'll do some in some of the hearts too. There, just like that. And I'm not going to move or touch this card too much because it's still going to be wet. But that's it, guys. So hopefully you enjoyed this card. Again, let me grab this. The Petal Pushers stamp set is brand new. It's a new release to the Celebration catalog. So if you are interested in this, I would get this one really fast. I feel like this one's probably going to be pretty popular. It's just super cute. Look at it. It's stinking gorgeous. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, leave some comments about some other ideas that you want me to bring to the channel. And if you need information on any of these products or how to order, go to my the Coordinating blog post. It's the first link in the description box down below, and I will have everything linked there for you. So it's super simple. You can pick up all of these items and get started. So hopefully you guys are having a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!